Frank. Last time I saw it was 498, 40, 60.
The market's going against us. We're exposed on the 100 million we're holding. We're going to have to bail out.
We're going to take a whopping loss.
We can't buck the tide any longer. Let me know the damage when you've finished.
All right, got you on that. Okay, we'll see you then.
Hold the phones.
Hold on.
Okay, no arguments. Everybody cover their short currency positions. Buy yen, sterling, francs, marks. Sell dollars. We've got 100 million to dump. No haggling over prices.
Get me a couple of London banks.
Dollars off.
How much?
2% against the mark in the last 20 minutes. It started in Frankfurt.
No, I think you'll find it started about 10 blocks from here. At Borough National, as a matter of fact. They're in trouble. Bailing out of their long dollar position, dumping about 100 million on the market. Keep clocking. Let me know if it slides further or hits the next big number.
Frankfurt, Borough National, New York. You're a dollar Deutschmark, bitte. Hauptendrive 640. Sie haben Grad, bitte.
Film my check. Would you like to make a... Can you make me a market and spot friends?
Give me another market. We got another Geneva for 30, 50. One is LA to 30.
What a market, please.
Two.
Right.
2 and 20.
Hello, Borough National. Yeah, what, how do you trade in French?
Yeah, what's your spot on you?
Million.
Take 2.
10 million. Ain't good. 3. You only do 3?
Say 5 million.
Yeah, we're looking for sterling.
Four.
Got one at 2-4.
$1 yen, please. 5 at 75.
What?
Make it 2. That's 4.
Okay.
Sie haben drei. Sie haben drei. Ah. Yeah. Danke. Well, take it. Give me a market. Just give me a duck. Hey, you owe me a deal.
Sell 5 at 40.
Come on, one duck.
We take 2. Take a lousy 2.
All right, that's just one.
Yeah, I love you too. You're beautiful. How about 4? All right, 2. Oh, come on, help me out.
What do you mean there's no market? What do you mean it's coming? So's
Give me
Christmas.
another market. Can't get our freaking birds. They're closed for the day. It looks like we're having a little trouble.
Europe in the street have got word we're dumping. Dollar's dropping like a rock.
All right, we better go in. Long on dollars, start with Paris. And tell Borough National they can have 40 mil on Interbank. We're going to have to find someone to ride shotgun over there. I'm not taking this roller coaster again.
Earlier this week, the dollar slipped 50 points. It recovered, but there are a lot of people who say things are going to get worse before they get better. Others in the banking community say it was just a flutter. But if there's one thing all of us worry about, it's money, our money. In this case, of course, the dollar. Here tonight to discuss the dollar is Maxwell Emery, president of the First New York Bank. Mr. Emery has sometimes been called the lion of American banking.
The dollar's been under pressure so frequently in our history. I don't think these times are exceptional. We go through regular cycles of anxiety. In fact, we're an anxiety-prone people.
But we've never had anxiety with so much reason behind it. Since 1974, when the Arabs started increasing the price of oil, they've amassed billions of dollars. Until now, they've been very kind to leave that money largely in American banks. Mr. Emery, has there ever been such a concentration of wealth in the hands of one group before?
No, I think probably not. But I assure you, their interests are ours.
Sorry, bye later. He's working late at the office.
See you then.
Enjoy yourself. Look, Nancy, I'll have to see you.
Want an educated opinion? You're not going to get a glamour boy like Humblesmith to run a rescue operation over there. He won't touch it with a fork.
He might, if the payoff is big enough.
Yes, sir. Can I have a white wine and a scotch on the rocks? Well, Max, I hear you rode in on your white horse. Bailed out Borough National.
Well, that fellow down there is trying, but he's overmatched.
I sure feel sorry for the poor son of a bitch who tries to turn that mess around.
I said I'd help them, but only if they'd take my boy. Want to hear the deal?
I don't know, Max. I did my time in the trenches when I was running those problem loans for you. I had enough crash and burn.
Hop. I consider it a personal favor.
With those turkeys at Borough National, miracle would be a better word.
Now, why do you piss cold water on it when you know you're interested?
What makes you so sure?
The guy who turns them round is going to be hero of the week. And we both know that you're restless, ambitious, and a sucker for a chance at a star play.
It's the spirit that built the West.
Has either one of you seen Lee Winters?
Last time I saw her, she was over by the band. Something wrong?
Charlie Winters has been murdered. The mugger broke into his office, knifed him.
Oh, my God.
Isn't it? It is. I'm so... Hello, Bill.
Lee, could I talk to you alone? Would you excuse us? Susan.
What is it, Hub?
Nothing. I was just thinking about the illusion of safety.
Yes.
You were inquiring about Charlie Winters the other day. I'm sorry to have to tell you that he's dead. I was struck by the coincidence.
Charles Winters. I'm sorry to hear about that.
I'm sorry to hear about it, too. I just wanted you to be aware. Good night.
Police have concluded that Charles Winters was murdered by a burglar who panicked when Winters, who was working late, surprised him. No other motivations for his murder have been found. At his funeral yesterday in New York, his widow, ex-film star Lee Winters, was accompanied by leading members of the corporate and financial world. And so Lee Winters, the poor girl who came out of the dirt hills of Arkansas to achieve stardom as the glamorous Ashley Norman, one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, and who at the very height of her career gave it all up to become the wife of a great American industrialist, played today her toughest role. Where to go from here? There are rumors that things are not what they once were in the troubled petrochemical empire built by Charlie Winters. Now facing the critical question of who will become its next chairman. And now in a light...
Don't take too long. Hurry back down. Gabby, did you take my book?
Well, Terrence, I see you some pressure out of Zurich. 11's ringing. Who's on 11? Well, we think it's coming up. Yeah, we're all with Twitter. Let me have your dollar for
Question is he ready for us? I've had a balance sheet worked up and a summary of assets. Is there anything else you might need?
Oh, nothing special. Your interim financials, maybe. Something showing your cash position, loan position, deposits. Also a P&L statement if you got one. The maturity schedules on your commercial paper, classifications on your loan portfolio, maybe the last examiner's report. Oh, and your current profit breakdown.
You sure that'll be enough?
For a start.
Cheers.
Well, Doctor, you've been on the case for a while now. What's the prognosis? Will the patient live?
Patient's been dead for 6 months and doesn't know it.
Come on now. It's not that bad.
No? Roy, I salute you. Borough National's your masterpiece.
Well, we may have to tighten our belt.
Try it around your neck.
Okay. I'll call Emery. You can bail out.
No, I took this trip without a parachute. This is when the fun begins.
Look, Smith, this is not some sort of game.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. You keep talking about a system, Roy. That's your problem. You can't beat the system, but you can win a game.
How?
First, we have to find a way to get some profit in here now. Nothing earth-shaking, just 3 or 4 million so we can meet that dividend, give ourselves a little time to breathe. A nice, hungry customer so we can give them a big, fat loan, say a couple of $100 million, and collect the commission.
Where are we going to get that kind of money?
I'll find the money. What we need right now is a customer. What we really need is a company even more in the shit house than we are. If that's possible. Sit down, Roy. Talk to me about the Winterchem Petrochemical Corporation.
We're loaned out to them to the legal limit. No matter how hungry they are, we can't give them a thing.
Not even lunch?
I want to start by telling you what you're dying to hear. We don't need to borrow another dime.
Well, I don't know what to say.
All we have to do is scale down a little. Think in more modest terms, and we should weather the storm. I don't think it makes any sense at all. It's wrong. You can't cut back on this company and expect it to ever grow again. The replacement cost would be astronomical.
Lee, I'm sure we're grateful for the interest you've taken in Winterchem, all the public relations time you put in for the company. And I know how you must feel, especially now that Charlie's gone.
Henry, don't patronize me. You, of all people, should know where we went wrong. We let the competition walk away with the technology. But instead of cutting back, we should be investing in R&D. Keep the plants going until new products can be developed.
Financed how?
Well, we'll just get ourselves a moneymaker. There's a small petrochemical plant in Spain at Valencia. They're in place. Their balance sheet looks real good. And they're for sale, Warner. We'd have to invest in some updating and a sure feedstock. But if we get it, we're going to be buying ourselves a real cash flow machine.
Lee, I hear what you're saying, but that kind of capital is simply not available.
I'm sorry, good people. I'm running late. Roy, you'll have to fill me in on the rest of this later. Miss Winters?
Henry, delighted to have met you.
Oh, Warner, to see you.
That's a hell of a fella. I think we're going to enjoy working with him.
Let me speak with Lee Winters, please. He's at the far corner table.
Lee, you're going to be opening the Palm Beach house soon?
Sorry,
Well,
Mrs. Winters. Call for you.
Thank you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yes, this is Mrs. Winters.
How good are you keeping a straight face? Because your Valencia deal happens to be full of holes.
Helen, I can't talk now. I'm at a luncheon meeting. If you have some messages for me,
Well,
what?
try this on Helen. Number one, what about currency translation? The Spanish plant has peseta obligations. If peseta goes up, your dollar earnings won't be worth a plate of frijoles. Two, how about labor stability? Half the country's busy slipping bombs in the pockets of the other half. Three, Winterchem's tapped out with us at Borough National. How do you figure to fund the acquisition?
I see. Is that all, Helen?
Sorry, but I didn't want to embarrass you in front of Tweedledum and Tweedledee there. Since it's obvious that you want to be the new chairman of the board.
No, absolutely not. Would you tell him I'm out of town, please? I'm sorry. Some people just don't understand business.
Absolutely. Of course we're going to show a profit.
One, their currency may be unstable, but they have to sell in international markets, which means our dollar wouldn't be affected. Two, the Spanish labor market happens to be relatively strike-free, which you would have known if you'd bothered to check, as I did. And three, there are other banks that can recognize a sound investment when they see one. As for that chairman of the board remark, Mr. Smith, I don't know what you're talking about.
How much stock did you say her husband left her?
You were saying?
I thought we ought to have a drink on it.
On what exactly?
Your future at Winterchem. Scotch, if you don't mind, with a twist.
Mr. Smith, you must have me confused with an executive. They've tolerated me on the board as a courtesy to Charlie, but now that he's gone, I'm just an ex-movie star coasting into the sunset.
And certainly not someone who's going to throw him a curveball at lunch about a Spanish petrochemical plant. I'd say you coast pretty good. Where'd you learn the moves?
Charlie involved me a lot in the business. And when I was an actress, I had my own company. I made my own deals. Charlie always says I have... Charlie used to say I had good instincts. Well, we're playing the classic scene, aren't we? The banker and the widow.
I'm sorry. I guess this is all too soon.
Of course it's too soon. Everything's too soon, isn't it? The company's in trouble too soon. Charlie died too soon. So what?
It'd be funny, wouldn't it, if the banker helped the widow walk off with the chairmanship?
Hilarious. You mind telling me how?
Your Valencia deal.
I thought you said it was full of holes.
I thought you said you didn't want to be chairman. Which is too bad, because Ackerman's just blowing smoke about all this so-called support. Nobody really wants to sell off. Nobody wants to be on the board of a shrinking company. You nail that deal, you have a real shot.
Providing they took me seriously.
Come up with the $500 million to buy that plant, they'll take you seriously, all right. All you need is the okay from Ackerman to go after it. Now I'm in a position to put you together with the money. There are risks involved.
I've never been afraid of risks.
That was Scotch, with a twist.
For one thing, I'm not going to get the okay. And for another thing, aren't you the man that told me Winter Chem was borrowed out with the bank?
I'm the man.
Well, then where's the money supposed to come from?
Private placement, outside source.
Direct?
Through an agent I know. We'd have to negotiate with his people. Probably be a joint venture if they put up the capital and share the profits.
And the bank collects 1% for setting it up. On $500 million, that's $5 million profit. No risk to you. You have a very profitable sense of humor, Mr. Smith.
You wouldn't deny me a little incentive, would you?
Was that on the rocks or straight up?
Of course, we do have to handle her very carefully.
Yes. She is sitting on the largest block of company stock.
If she sells her stock to some outfit that wants to take over, we could all be out in our collective ass.
I say to hell with her damn stock. What's she gonna do, unload 600,000 shares? That's her meal ticket. This isn't the Washington Post, and she's not Katharine Graham. And I'll tell you something else. That woman is not gonna negotiate any deals for this management. Ever. Would you ask Mrs. Winters to come in, please? Next thing you know, she'll want to be chairman of the board.
Now, Lee, we want you to know you'll always have a home at Winter Chem. And remember, we'll always be happy to hear any suggestions you might have.
Mr. Ackerman, please.
1 moment, please.
At least we didn't overestimate him.
Hello.
Warner, this is Hub.
Hi, what's up?
Nothing special. I just thought it was time we sat down and had a talk about rescheduling your loans. Maybe lunch next week.
How about Thursday?
Right, fine. By the way, I had a talk with that Japanese conglomerate that's buying up every company in sight.
Did you?
Yeah, Shigemitsu Han. They wanted to talk about the Winter Chem financials.
Oh?
Of course I wouldn't, but I thought you ought to know.
Well, no problem. They tried to take us over last year, but they couldn't get their hands on enough stock.
Well, in that case, we can all relax. So where do you guys like to eat?
How about the bibliothèque next Thursday at 1?
Thursday at 1. Right.
See you then.
I can't wait to see their faces when they think I'm going to sell my stock.
Hello?
Helen?
Yes, Mr.
Would you contact the representative of Shigemitsu Han and ask him if we can have lunch Thursday at 1?
Thursday at 1.
she won't sell our stock, huh?
Good move, Warner.
Well, I'm starved. How about you guys?
I could use a drink.
So could I.
How did I do?
Ackerman didn't eat a bite.
How long do we have to wait?
As long as it takes.
If it takes.
Patience. They have to huddle first, look unconcerned, get back to the office and argue a little bit. They're probably flipping a coin right now to see who has to make the call. Yeah. Right, put them on. Guess who lost? Hey, Warner, long time no see.
Hi. Listen, Hub, I know you'll think I'm nuts, but we may let Lee Winters check out the financing on that Spanish thing after all. She's got an idea she can find the $500 million somewhere privately. She'll probably give away the family jewels to get it.
Would it make you any happier if I kept an eye on her for you?
Jesus, could you? That'd be really terrific. We don't want to look like total idiots.
Consider it done.
Hub, I want you to know we'll always be grateful.
Just your friendly neighborhood banker. They'll always be grateful. And we're not there yet. You still have to meet the agent for the $500 million tonight at Emery's.
Any ideas on how I should handle it?
Straightforward. We've got nothing to hide. Do we?
Please, Miss Winters. Excuse me. I know this isn't the time and place, but did your husband ever mention a Jerry Fuster? There's someone named Fuster. Did your husband ever mention anything about him?
In what connection?
You mean he didn't?
I don't know. What would it have been about?
No. If he didn't mention it, that's fine. That's fine.
What did you say the name was?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry about it, Joe.
Excuse me, does he work here?
You mean Mr. Fuster? He's one of the federal bank examiners who come in.
He's very nervous.
I don't believe Mr. Winters told her anything. She looked right at me. She didn't know what I was talking about. That's my train.
Well, if you hear from her again, we expect to hear from you. Okay? Not gonna eat your hot dog, huh?
Well, here they are.
Oh, Hub, I was concerned.
According to young son. You know Lee Winters?
Good evening. It's lovely to have you here. Would you take her down by Max?
Good evening. Good evening.
Mr. Emery, I'm sorry we're late.
Don't worry about it. So glad you're here.
Sorry, Max. Got caught in traffic. Lee, I'd like to meet Sal Naftari.
How do you do, Mr. Naftari?
Mrs. Winters, at last. I was beginning to be afraid I might not get to meet you.
For a few seconds there, I had doubts myself. But I can't tell you how happy I am that we made it.
Oh, Mrs. Winters, I was just telling Max before you came that I've just come back from Paris. The state of the dollar is a crisis. I don't know what your naughty bankers are going to do to us next. But you know that I couldn't buy a single thing. It's awful. I'm going to have to wear American clothes all summer.
2%.
Not this time.
Okay, 2.5.
8.
8? Why 8?
There's a woman. Makes it tougher. Hub. Get it out of your head. I've got a lock on this. These people are unpredictable. They make up their own minds. I'm only the agent. I can only make the introductions. The rest is up to you. My deal is too rich. You're always welcome to try it on your own.
Okay, 8.
Plus a fee of $300,000 for contingencies.
Such as?
If I knew they wouldn't be contingencies. I'll get right on it, providing, of course, it's acceptable. Also, she'll have to travel. Don't want a meeting.
We welcome you.
Thank you, colleagues. We're glad to be here. My associate, Miss Winters.
How do you do?
Miss Winters, welcome, please. Come. I believe you know my father, Ahmed.
Of course.
He thanks you for honoring us with your visit.
Not at all. You honor us with the invitation.
And Mrs. Winters?
How do you do?
تفضلوا بسم الله.
I feel like a beggar asking them for alms, and I hate it.
You and the rest of the world.
الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده
thought we had an appointment.
Allahu Akbar.
This is an appointment.
Allahu Akbar.
Mrs. Winters, please. Oh, good to see you. To begin with, I'm sure you will be pleased to hear that we have decided to make the loan. But first, I think it best to go over this to make sure we are clear on the main points. Point one. The sum is to be 500 million, of course. For the plant in Valencia, the money to be drawn in units of 50 million.
At times to be negotiated.
Yes, of course. Point two, Winterchem to hold title, but profits to be shared on an equal basis. Point three, Mrs. Winters' stock will stand as security for the entire transaction. Point four.
Excuse me. That means if something happens, I lose all my stock.
Mrs. Winters, I think I should tell you there are those in the family who do not think we should be making this offer at all. I assume if you could have found venture capital of this sort for a company like Winterchem in America, you would not be coming all the way to Arabia looking for it. If you are able to arrange better terms elsewhere, you are free to do so. Shall I continue? Point four. After repayment of the principal has been completed, all interest payments must be made by the 15th day of each month.
If we're ever cash short when a payment comes due, I could lose the whole company.
Don't worry, we'll cover you on that. The bank will cover you.
Don't like the risk.
I guess it depends on how bad you want to be the chairman.
Well, I guess I should call the cockpit. Have them radio the office with the gory details.
Hey, that can wait. This can't. You're really ticked off about the deal, aren't you?
I'm sorry. I don't like being dependent, that's all. I was never dependent on any one studio. I didn't depend on Charlie. And if anything goes wrong, I don't like being dependent on Borough National.
You mean me? Here. If you can't live with the deal, forget it. Tell New York the terms are unacceptable.
I warn you, I'm a problem. I am a bad person when I get in a corner.
Fine. If you get in a corner, tell me to go to hell. In business, that's the ground rules. But if you think the only thing we've been doing together is business, one of us is a fool.
Would you radio Winterchem in New York, please? Tell them we've come to terms on the whole package. Well, you've got your deal. Got what you want.
You don't know the first goddamn thing I want. It's not the deal. The world's full of deals. A partner's somewhat more rare.
I'm still not sure I trust you, you know.
That's a perfect basis for a partnership.
funds amount of $20 million.
I thought you ought to see that.
They just want us to hold it, not roll it over? Doesn't make sense. They'll lose a ton of interest if they don't redeposit their money. Must be a mistake. Ask them to send it again.
You got it.
By the way, how much is the deposit for?
Altogether, $95 million.
Rebecca, let's get a confirmation on that.
Better let me have the maturity schedules on those Saudi Eurodollar deposits we're holding.
The ones that are due now, or all of them?
The works.
What's going on?
19 deposits worth $5 million each are due, and the Saudis didn't give us disposition instructions. You got 23 more maturing in the next 3 weeks, which is $210 million altogether we're going to have to come up with if they decide not to roll over.
210 million, that's practically every cent we carry. That'll clean us out.
They can't just let that kind of money sit without earning interest. Even the Arabs aren't that rich. Maybe they'll advise us through their London affiliate. I hope.
40, 60, anything there?
25. Wait about 5 minutes. That yen deal we lost, who was the customer and why do we lose it?
Pabst Soil. First New York must have wanted the trade badly. They bid 1 point over market.
150.
Mr. Naftari returning your call.
Yeah, put them on. I got 5 minutes to kill.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Some guys will go anywhere to find a topless beach. Hey, Sal, how's Monte Carlo, you turkey?
Not bad. Something on your mind?
No, nothing special, except your friend Dawa's here. Doesn't seem to have both his oars in the water.
What's going on?
Oh, they got a couple of Eurodollar deposits maturing. No big deal. But they're just letting them sit. You happen to know anything about it?
Nobody's talked to me. Haven't heard a word.
Well, Europe's going to start closing in a few minutes. They usually work through London and Zurich, and the interest they're losing.
Well, what about it? How? You got a problem?
Hey, listen, if it's okay with them, it's just fine with me. What do I care?
Then there's no problem.
Yeah, kid, talk to you. Shit.
He said you don't seem to have both of your oars in the water.
You cannot pull $95 million in one chunk from a bank the size of Borough National. When I undertook to manage this plan, you agreed to do it gradually in small amounts. You're now starting to move billions in a matter of weeks.
The world economic situation is deteriorating more rapidly than we had thought. We don't think we can afford to wait, Max.
There will be no collapse in the foreseeable future unless you panic and start it with some damn fool move like this.
And if you are wrong, what then? We wake up one morning, our oil is gone. We find that we have sold all we have in exchange for paper money that is worthless.
You're risking immediate exposure.
We risk it every day. If Charles Winters could stumble on that account, it's just a question of time before someone else finds out. And when that happens...
No one else will find out if you revert to your original timetable.
All right, Max. We'll think about it. But I'm not sure what our answer will be.
You're playing with the end of the world, you know.
The end of the world, as you know it.
570. Europe's closing. Okay, you're on your own. No disposition. I don't want anyone playing hero.
Give me the FICB.
Okay, let's hedge ourselves. Cover at least half the amount of the deposits for 1 day. First New York and Morgan, 24 million each.
Morgan, this is Borough National.
First New York, let me have your Fed funds desk. Listen, we got room for 24, 25. No problem. Get back to you.
Morgan claims they're tight today.
First New York's dry. Come back tomorrow if we have a problem. You know, this could be a real little situation here, Europe closing down. If we can't find the cash to cover those euro-dollar deposits, we're shit out of luck.
Okay, try Boston and Chase, but that's it. Let's not blow it all over the street, as long as nobody else knows. Now, what the hell is that?
Dollar's dropping.
Dropping is going through the basement, for Christ's sake. Why?
Hey, Hub, it's Paris. They heard some big Arab money is pulling out here. They're going to start shorting dollars.
They're nuts. Negative. Kill those calls to Boston and Chase.
That's what they said.
Tell them we're buying.
We're buying.
Tell them.
Dollar dropping fast against March.
Add sterling and guilders to that.
Okay, just button up. No more calls go out of here until I tell you. Except you better call your mom or both of you. You're going to be late for supper.
Vance the skill.
Yeah, right.
I'm bottom fishing. You got any ideas?
No. No, nothing definite. But I wanted to flag it with you guys at the Fed just in case.
Hang up.
No, not much. Maybe 100 mil or so.
Hang up that phone, Roy. So help me God, I'll tear it out of the wall.
Sorry, I'm getting a little static here. I'll be back to you. Look, Smith, you can save the dramatics for some other time.
Are you crazy? Are you right out of your fucking skull? Nobody knows we're broke. I'm busting my ass to act like business as usual, and you call the Federal Reserve Bank? Why not just take an ad in the New York fucking Times?
Everything is drying up on you out there. You can't get it anywhere. I say we go to the Fed and make a clean breast of it.
And blow everything. Look, the Fed will never find out. We'll issue some domestic CDs to cover the euro-dollar deposits. By the time we add up our tabs, it'll be 2 weeks from now. By then, everything will be fine. So we ran a little behind on our bookkeeping, so what?
You can't do that. That's illegal. That is criminal, for Christ's sake.
Mildly. We can get by with it for one night.
You do not know what's going to happen tomorrow.
You walk to the Fed, you let them know we're going broke, and I'll tell you what's going to happen. You won't open tomorrow. With the performance record you've had around here, they'll come in and shut our ass down for good. We just got to sweat it out and pray the Saudis roll over that 95 million before Europe opens in the morning. It's the only chance we got. Come on, Roy, where's your balls?
You're the one who's crazy. I don't know anything about this. I am not losing my deniability.
You can hide in the closet if you want to. You're staying right here. If I catch you on the phone, I'll break your fucking arm.
What are you going to do in the morning if the Saudis ask for that money?
I'll worry about it in the morning. I got to get through the night first.
Sorry. Euro-dollar section says the market's getting worse. Liquidity is drying up.
How much of this is around the floor?
Some, not a lot.
Okay, here's the drill. For the rest of the afternoon, no strong positions, no exposure, but keep it humming. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Hong Kong opens 8 o'clock our time. Maybe they'll run it through them. After closing, you and Betsy stay. I'll get back from reception as soon as I can.
You're not going to that Lee Winters reception tonight, are you?
We're expected. And since the only conceivable reason for our absence would be a crisis at the bank, and since that's precisely what we don't want people to know what we're up to our ass in, one of us better be there. She's only the new chairman of the board of one of our biggest customers.
Excuse me just a second, Howard. Nancy. Hello, Mr. Smith.
Good evening.
Are you over your jet lag?
Bankers aren't allowed to have jet lag.
Oh, no? I feel very lucky. Warner's just agreed to be chief operating officer.
Roy Lefkart sends us congratulations. He's a little under the weather.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I appreciate your being here. Thanks for your help.
I think she's gonna work out all right.
N-A blank blank L-E. Pomona.
Joy?
No. Nothing moving here but the leaves on the trees. Hong Kong opens in 10 minutes. You want me to take a sniff?
And have it hit Paris through the back door? Better not. How's our friend bearing up?
I think he has visions of numbers on his chest.
He's not the only one. Let's keep the hatches battened down, not a word. Well, that sounds fine. Just keep tracking. We could get a move out of it. I'll check in myself if I get a chance. Okay.
Not the bank.
I might have to drift over there for a couple of minutes.
Tonight?
Nothing they couldn't handle themselves. But I think I better look in on them. Don't wait up for me.
You're so tense. Are you all right?
At the peak of my form, lady.
Good night, Nettie. Nettie, would you order the car to be out front in 5 minutes?
Yes, madam.
I think I'll go down to the office for a while.
Let me tell you the reason I'm here. You know all about winter camp, and you know that winter camp depends a great deal on its connection with Borough National Bank. I've been very concerned about Borough National Bank's stability.
Mr. Winters, the fact that I am the bank examiner, I'm not allowed to discuss any findings.
I had a private detective. I hired him to check on you because...
On me? You hired him to check on me personally?
I happen to know that you took a very low interest loan, am I right? For the purchase of a house from First New York. Is that correct, Mr. Houston? This low interest loan, Mr. Houston, some people might consider it to be unethical. Others even that it's a bribe. And of course that would be criminal.
You're asking for information that concerns something bigger than Borough National Bank.
Houston, I guarantee you'll have my protection. Now you just tell me what you know.
I discovered an account 21214 tape machine running? Yes? Please, sir, turn it off.
London branch. They're rolling over 90 million. Yee-haw!
I think we can all go home and get some rest now.
Night, guys.
Good night. Why only 90 million? What about the other 5? I want to pay the balance of 5 to First New York, account 21214. Do me a favor, will you? Get me all our Saudi records. Look at this slippage. All over the last couple of years. Every month. 8 million, 7 million, 7 million, all to that same account number. 21214 in First New York. Could be anything. An adjustment in the general portfolio or loans.
It'd be nice to know more about that account.
I'll worry about it later. Jesus, what a night.
I feel like the sack of Carthage. act like a man who just had a reprieve from the electric chair. No, I don't think it can wait until you come to New York. Mr. Fuster, I can come to Washington today to see you. Well, I'd like to see you today if that's possible. Hmm? Well, where would you like to meet? I can meet anywhere you want. In a parking lot? No, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Brown station wagon. What's the license number? Would 2 o'clock be all right? Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mr. Fuster. Thank you. Yes. Kay, would you cancel my 1 o'clock for me? I'm going to take the noon shuttle to Washington. And would you have a car reserved for me at the other end? Mr. Fuster?
Mrs. Winters, please, get in.
Whoa. I'm sitting on something.
I'm sorry.
Do you always meet people like this?
Oh, I don't meet people at all. Not prime customers of the bank I've just examined. I'm sorry you insisted on coming down here, Mrs. Winters, because I can't tell you anything.
I need to know what you told my husband about Borough National.
Told him nothing.
Mr. Fuster, I found the tape. Now, there's enough on that to get you in trouble, but there's not enough to help me. And I have to know. I have to know if the bank is rocky, if it's losing money.
It isn't money. It's where the money is going. And I can't talk about it.
Well, at least give me your worksheets, your notes, your...
I can't. They'd know where you got it in 5 minutes.
Look, if it's your job you're worried about, Winterchem will find you something.
You don't understand. All I knew was that Borough National was in trouble, that it had something to do with this account and some Arab euro dollars. But what I didn't know was how big this must be. How desperate they are to keep it all secret. Because when I started to follow up on it, I was told that it was a confidence factor, that 214 was a sensitive area, and
What?
Well, I got offered a loan at a very low interest, a bribe, which I took. So, Mrs. Winters, we're not just talking about my job. We're talking about prison or worse.
Worse?
Miss Winters, please, just leave it.
I can't leave it. I need your proof.
Your husband couldn't leave it, and look what happened to him.
Charlie, are you saying this had something to do with Charlie's death?
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't be sure. But he found out and he died, didn't he? Mrs. Winters, they're all over me, and If I tell them you came to see me, what happens to you? And if I don't, what happens to me? I thought it was all over when I took the bribe. But it's never gonna end. Is it?
Miss Winters, there's a Dunkin' Donuts in the Rockville Shopping Center. I'll meet you there at 4 o'clock. I'll need some time to get my notes.
This is going to be over, Mr. Fuster. I promise you. It's going to end.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Sam, I left some papers up in Mr. Emery's office.
No problem. I'll sign you in.
Thanks.
Anything up?
No.
Have a good night.
That's one of the rewards of working at night. No phone calls. Good evening, Henry.
Evening, Mr. Emery.
You've got a hectic week ahead of you. There's the IMF conference. Johnson's pressing available. Europe Development speech is next Thursday.
He's taking care of the Girl Guides. That's enough scouting. Tell George that when he writes that community trust speech, you can forget Adam Smith. Enough is enough. I don't understand how we can have been so wrong on interest rates.
Warren went long on bonds again, trying to cover himself.
I'll accept his being wrong, but not his refusal to admit it.
You gonna talk to him about it over lunch?
A drink should do it. Maybe Chase can afford him. We can't.
Just part of the image.
What about that little list of yours?
I'm not going to need you anymore tonight, William.
Yes, ma'am.
Hub?
Hey, I just about given up on you.
Oh, thank God you're home.
Yeah, where you been?
Oh, just hold me.
Oh, I was getting worried about you.
Just hold me.
You okay?
Something awful happened in Washington.
What were you doing in Washington?
It was an accident, you know, one of those close calls. I feel so silly. I think I need a drink.
Well, while you're at it, get one for me.
Scotch on the rocks with a twist.
Mr. Embry there, Hub Smith calling. No, this won't keep. Can't you find him? Look, I have to talk to him. If he calls in, tell him we've got to talk about 21214 before anything else happens. That's right. 21214. I can't speak for the President of the United States. He runs his shop, I run mine. But I'll tell you this. Bankers are more dependable than governments. We don't lie to ourselves. We can't afford to. Isn't that right, Hal?
I'd like to think so.
We've just been joined by a most distinguished banker. About 20 years ago, he sat where you are, drinking in my words with the same skepticism that I see on some of your faces.
How do you account for the fact that for 30 years after the Depression, there hasn't been a single major bank failure? Now there's practically one every 18 months. Herstatt in Germany, Franklin National here.
The international character of banking today makes everyone vulnerable to everything. Somebody sneezes in Zurich, we say Gesundheit in New York. The important thing to realize is that everything is interconnected. We're all in this together. Ah, this is Hub Smith of Borough National.
Oh, Professor Akins, it's a pleasure.
Will you excuse us for a few minutes? I'll catch up with you later. Well, you're a surprise. People will start talking about us, fella. What are you doing?
As a matter of fact, right now, I'm trying to keep my temper. See, after that little flutter we had at Borough National yesterday, there was one Saudi Eurodollar deposit that didn't roll over. It was transferred instead to First New York. So I went over and had a little talk with your computer about that stray $5 million. Set me up, Max. You didn't want me to save Borough National. You just wanted me to keep them afloat long enough for you to siphon off that Arab money. You've been doing it for months.
Is that a fact?
Don't dance with me, Max. You have 21214 listed as a foreign exchange account. But you don't buy other currency with those dollars, you buy gold. But you have to do it slowly because if anybody finds out what's going on, the dollar will drop and all the Saudi investments over here won't be worth shit.
You're being a little wild and woolly here, aren't you, fella? There have been some perfectly normal transactions that wouldn't raise an eyebrow anywhere.
Borough National is just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it, Max? I checked the inflows in 21214. There are billions coming in on a regular basis from Arab and OPEC accounts you control in at least 15 other banks. You're moving the Arabs into gold. You're taking them out of the dollar.
Well, that isn't a crime. It isn't against the law. It isn't even a conspiracy. Just a routine banking operation. And if we didn't handle it, they'd find a lot of other people who would.
God damn it, Max, you don't just do this on your own. You go to the control of the currency, the Federal Reserve Board, the Secretary of the Treasury. You call the president, for Christ's sake.
And start a real panic? Have you ever seen anyone in government who could keep his mouth shut about anything for 5 minutes? Go ahead, call the Treasury. Call the Comptroller, but if you do, I'll tell you what's going to happen. When the Arabs learn that word of what they've been doing is out, they may panic. Move a big chunk of funds too fast or the wrong way. Really destabilize the monetary markets. Then the dollar will collapse. Whereupon there'll be a lot of jawboning by the president, and that won't work. Then they'll go to selling gold, and that won't work either. Then they'll have to go to capital controls, freeze foreign assets, stop any money from going in or out, and that will be the end of all the markets. That'll really be the finish. Then you'll see a worldwide depression that'll make the 1930s look like a kindergarten. In 2 months, you'll have bread lines in Detroit, riots in Pittsburgh. In 6 months, you'll see grass right over Rodeo Drive, and Michigan Boulevard, and Fifth Avenue, and I won't have done it, Hub. You will. All because you tried to stop a movement that couldn't be stopped anyway. Listen to me, Hub. Money, capital, has a life of its own. It's a force of nature, like gravity, like the oceans. It flows where it wants to flow. This whole thing with the Arabs and gold is inevitable. We're just going with the tide. The only question is whether you want to let it go like an unguided missile and raise hell, or whether you want to keep it in the hands of responsible people. Keep it channeled, keep it quiet. Believe me, Hub, the dollar will hold. Believe me. The system will be fine, providing nobody panics. I'm looking at you, Hub.
Well, I've listened patiently to your somewhat fantastic story with one puzzling question in mind. If you wish to say something to the Arabs, say it. Why come to me?
Because you know how to get to them?
Sometimes, if they wish to be gotten to. And exactly, what is it I'm to tell them?
That I know that they're involved in a secret financial manipulation, and that they want it kept secret. And so I'm prepared to trade, Mr. Naftari, my silence in exchange for Wintercam.
But you have Wintercam.
Our contract has to be renegotiated so that if Borough National goes under, I don't lose my company to the Saudis. My silence is the only leverage I have.
Forgive me, but silence about what? Some secret financial manipulation? You expect them to believe me if I use those words?
Just tell them 21214.
You realize, of course, that they may reject your whole story as preposterous. They may not even wish to discuss it.
I'll take my chances. And if they don't get back to me, they'll have to take theirs. There's something else they should know. Well, I've spoken to no one about this. I've taken the precaution of putting the evidence I have in a safe place.
Very well, then. I will pass it on. I so enjoyed your work in films, Mrs. Winters. What a pity you decided to give it up.
Hello?
Sorry, partner. I missed the damn 5 o'clock shuttle from Boston. Boston. It just got an wire you. Why don't you go ahead? I'll catch up with you at the opera.
Listen, you're tired. Why don't you just finesse it? It's only a benefit.
Well, I am pretty whacked.
Go on home. I'll call you tomorrow.
You swear?
In blood.
Hey, maybe we can get off somewhere by ourselves this weekend. Just the two of us. Alone.
Call me, okay?
Okay.
Nettie, first thing tomorrow, I want all the locks in the house changed.
Changed my mind.
Mrs. Winters is not here.
That's okay, Nettie. I'll wait for her. Hello?
Is Mrs. Winters there?
I'm afraid she's out for the evening.
Well, then could you give her a message, please? I'm calling on behalf of Mr. Naftari. He asked me to say that he's been in touch with the other party in regards to the 21214 matter, as Mrs. Winters requested, and they suggest a meeting at 11 tomorrow.
11 tomorrow. I'll tell her.
Hi, Mr. Smith.
nothing to say to you.
What do you know about 21214?
Enough.
Enough what?
Enough to protect myself.
Against what?
Against you. Borough National can go under. You're not taking me with it. I'm through depending on you, Hub. I went to the Saudis. I'm cutting my own deal. Sorry, partner, I guess I just lost confidence.
Do you know what you've done?
What I've done?
Smile.
What?
Smile.
I'm gonna have to go. Have a nice evening. Leave me alone.
Lee, are you all right? I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know.
Oh.
Yes, Emery here. What? Not possible. They couldn't. Everything that goes to them clears through me, personally.
I'm afraid the matter is out of my hands now, Mr. Emery. And whatever they're planning is out of yours, too.
It's not the children.
No. Business. Absolute nonsense.
Okay? The Arabs yanked every penny they had with us. They hit all the other outfits, too, so it's across the board. That means every bank in the country out there is going to be struggling for liquidity, trying to cover those cash withdrawals. We're dumping everything. Treasury bills, bonds, Fannie Mae's, commercial papers, we want it all sold. Fed funds, euro dollars, borrow whatever you can find up to 200 million. Foreign exchange, no positions. Bullion, grab what you can get. All right, let's hit it. And pray.
Maybe we could try to borrow in Frankfurt. Zurich. Swiss International owes us a favor.
It's over, Roy.
Market's starting to react already. One large bank is bidding 27% for 6-month Eurobond.
Dollar down 4% against the sterling.
Running low on contracts. I need contracts.
1,000. Come. $100 in 30 seconds. Dollar down by 5% against the Fed.
$21.
Borrowers stepping up the bids. Fed Union repos at 30%. Customers want to know what's happening. Whoa! Do I tell them what we're doing?
Tell them anything, Barney, except what we're doing.
Stock market's off 75 points. The dollar's appreciated 10% and moving down. They even yanked the euro-dollar deposits that weren't due. Of course, New York is practically down the tubes, and gold just went over 2,000.
But tonight, that'll be cheap.
I hit you at 50 for 5 million. I recorded the amount of 4 million.
Dollar down 8% against the French.
Hi, Virginia, it's me. I want you to listen, and listen very carefully. As soon as you hang up, I want you to go to the closet, take a suitcase, and get to the bank.
It began 8 days ago when a group of Arab investors withdrew billions of dollars from U.S. banks. That, in turn, started a chain reaction on the world money markets. Dollars, pounds, marks, francs, yen. Not one currency escaped. This scene outside a Manhattan bank was duplicated all over the world as people saw their life savings become worthless in a matter of hours. Good evening. I'm George Page in New York, and this is another in our series of reports on the world economic crisis. The growing paralysis of the industrial world has left millions without jobs, without money, and without hope. Crowds of unemployed poured into Washington yesterday. They stood in silent protest before the nation's leaders. At the same time, more than 1 million people packed St. Peter's Square, where the Pope urged calm and nonviolence. The pontiff asked for prayers for world leaders, prayers and peace and reason. But the last 24 hours have been marked by growing protests and ever-increasing violence. Last night, demonstrators burned American currency in front of the White House, and attempts to put out the fires led to a confrontation with police. Every hour, from every corner of the globe, there are new reports of outraged crowds demanding action. A bankrupt world seems to be teetering on the very edge of anarchy.
And now for continued coverage from around the world. A statement was issued from the OPEC meeting today that the leading oil-producing nations would resume oil exports as soon as the international monetary markets have stabilized. The panic has spread across political and philosophical boundaries. The USSR and the developed Eastern European communist countries, dependent on Western trade and capital, have witnessed the same riots that have taken place in the West. The Economic Summit Conference tomorrow will be attended by leaders of the West, the East, and the Third World. Said one, there is a need for a unity of purpose and resolve unequaled since the end of World War II. At this time of crisis, there has been a turning to the past as well as the future. Words spoken by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in the depths of the Depression were quoted in the Senate today. This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, frankly and boldly. nor need we shrink from honestly facing conditions in our country today. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper. We face our common difficulties. They concern, thank God, only material things. Each age is a dream that is dying, or one that is coming to birth.
I've been worried about you.
How are you?
Like everybody else. Looking for a way to begin again.
You're gonna need a partner.